This week, our planet mechanics are trying to save one of the world's most beautiful cities, Venice. A city without roads, Venice is completely reliant on boats. But the toxic fumes they spew are destroying its historic buildings. Dick and Jem will have to think out of the box. But can the two landlubbers clean up Venice's act?
That's been running, what, 5 minutes? No wonder they've got problems.
Or will they be up the canal without a paddle?
Something's not right.
That's not, is it?
Dick Strawbridge is an ex-army officer turned eco-warrior. Jem Stansfield is an inventor with a wild green streak.
Whoa!
Two men on a mission to fix the world.
Whoa!
One mechanical solution at a time. Together, they are the Planet Mechanics. This week, Dick and Jem have travelled to Italy to take on one of the world's most polluting forms of transport, motorboats. So they've headed to the Venice Lagoon, which is being overrun by marine traffic. As well as the 118 islands that make up the city of Venice itself, there are others out in the lagoon. And the Planet Mechanics will be based on one of them, La Certosa, next to the historic city. The Planet Mechanics have been invited over by former Olympic sailor Alberto Sannino.
Buongiorno, Alberto.
Hi guys, nice to meet you. Welcome on board. Welcome to Certosa Island.
Is this all your boatyard?
Yeah, this is the Polo Nautico Vento di Venezia.
Whoa! You see, Italian's very fast for us, but this is gorgeous. What else is there here? Because obviously you've got a lot.
Alberto runs a marina and boatyard that specialises in building wooden boats. And he's recently opened a hotel. He hopes that the hotel will give visitors a chance to appreciate both the city of Venice and the lagoon. But because it's on a separate island, his hotel is dependent on boats to ferry his guests to Venice, and he's worried about the pollution he's causing. Dick and Jem's challenge is to create an emissions-free water taxi that can transport up to 6 tourists to and from Venice and around the city. And Alberto's got the perfect place for them to get started.
Hey.
It even smells like a workshop.
Not only do Dick and Jem have their own workshop, but they also have full access to the rest of the boatyard. It's the perfect location for the Planet Mechanics. In the workshop, Dick has found a typical outboard engine used to power small boats and wants to show Jem just how bad these little motors can be.
I'm going to show you something absolutely disgusting.
Go on then, Dick.
This little two-stroke engine is 500 times more polluting than a car engine. Clean water,
yeah.
One engine.
That's amazing.
Two-stroke outboard engines are common on Venice's small boats. They run on a mixture of petrol and oil. By not separating the fuel and lubrication, the motors have fewer parts and are simpler, cheaper and lighter. It means, though, that oil is still present in the exhaust and is released into the environment, in this case, the waters of Venice.
It is disgusting.
I feel so much better about what we're doing. Like, I used to think it was a great idea. Now I think it's a vital idea. What amazes me is how marine pollution has somehow slipped under the radar. You look at that and you think, well, that's an enormous problem that no one seems to be talking about. That's been running, what, 5 minutes? There's 40,000 boats out there. No wonder they've got problems.
As well as pumping out oil into the water, boat engines also pollute the air with a cocktail of carcinogenic gases like benzene, toluene and xylene. And it's not only small engines that are causing issues. The cruise ships that flock to Venice are also massively polluting.
I'd love to know how much fuel those things actually use. Because you know the engines on them are bigger than this boat.
Oh yeah, you better believe
They're
it.
like going to be phenomenal.
I reckon your carbon footprint crossing the Atlantic is about 7.5 times that of flying.
So what, per person
Per-
there,
yeah, absolutely.
the amount of fuel they use is 7.5 times what an aeroplane would use to get them across the Atlantic.
Yes, your whole carbon footprint increase.
Whoa.
But the other thing is, you got to remember, it probably goes this far in a gallon.
And for Venice, it's a double whammy. Because once they've arrived, they offload their tourist cargo to tour the city by yet more boats. Venice is built out of an archipelago of 118 small islands. Over 400 bridges connect them, and 150 canals are used instead of roads. As Europe's largest car-free zone, it's completely unique. There are only two ways to get around: by foot or by boat. So Alberto has taken Dick for a tour in his traditional Venetian water taxi. In the 13th century, Venice was one of Europe's most prosperous cities. Built up as a trading post between Europe and the East, its legacy is some of the most beautiful architecture in the world. Palaces, bridges, and gondolas all help to attract 16 million tourists each year.
What effect do you think the boats are having on Venice now?
Obviously, they are something we need to use, but the effects can be dangerous and can be bad for everything, for the area, for the nature, for the historical buildings, and also for the natural things that are around the city that are very critical and very easy to be damaged by the boats.
Boat engine exhaust contains sulfur dioxide, and when combined with oxygen and water, it creates sulfuric acid. And this acid is eroding away the precious facades. If these buildings are to be preserved, sulfur dioxide concentration in the air has to be reduced. As well as destroying the buildings, pollution is also killing off the people. Lung cancer and heart attacks caused by atmospheric pollution cause around 140 deaths in Venice each year.
Why don't we just say no motors, no engines in Venice, more gondolas?
Because it's not possible to run a commercial activity or an economy activity rowing.
Although there are still hundreds of gondoliers to transport tourists, they are mainly a tourist attraction themselves. And the city still relies on a fleet of water buses and taxis to move people around. Venice's boats are an environmental disaster. Back at La Certosa, it's Dick and Jem's mission to find an alternative.
What sort of things can we do? Traditionally, wind.
Wind power? I can imagine trying to get wind power through those canals.
It's not going to work in Venice.
He's a good sailor. I don't think he's that good. Pedalos. Pedalos are my favourite form of transport. It's like the people of Venice can now have bicycles.
Forget the gondoliers, forget the pedalling power. Human power isn't going to give us enough. We need motors.
How about an electric diesel hybrid? They've got the big diesel engine for when they need to go long distances, and then when they actually get into the centre of Venice, click onto the electric, quietly around the canals.
The normal advantage of a hybrid is you can actually regenerate going downhill. Doesn't work in Venice.
OK, so it's just electric then. We give them just an electric boat.
You know, making an electric boat that's going to do what we wanted to do with these sort of distances is not easy.
I've had an idea. I now think I can make an electric boat in an hour.
If you can make an electric boat working in 1 hour,
Yeah.
I will jump in beside you, swim along and tell everybody you're an engineering god.
Get your trunks ready, Dick. I'm off.
Dick's sceptical that they can make an electric-powered boat, so Jem wants to make a working model to prove him wrong. He plans to power it with a radio-controlled aeroplane propeller. Using a length of steel, he's creating a prop shaft and is fixing the propeller to the end of it. A swivel bearing on the back of the board will locate the prop shaft and enable Jem to steer. For extra stability, he's using 2 bits of plywood fixed on the bottom of the board.
How are we doing?
Good.
This is the future of electric boats, is it?
I had a bit of a trouble with the boat part of it. The boats they would let me have had holes in them.
Where's the power?
Dick,
Twiddle power.
I'll reveal that when we get onto the lagoon.
You're going to have to tell me your cunning secret soon, you know.
Don't be angry, Dick. Don't be angry.
You are joking!
Some of the best battery technology you can literally lay your hands on. Look at this for an action boat.
One of the tubes are going to get wet. I have a funny feeling it's going to be you on the drill.
Just in case it does get wet, just for us, so we can continue the job, I'll stick it in a bag. It's not got much buoyancy or stability.
Okay. Right, okay.
I'll just go for it.
Okay. Oh, he moved! Jam! You got reverse.
I'm struggling with the steering a little bit.
Good effort, good effort.
The electric drill should provide good propulsion, but Jem's balance is letting down the design. And every time he falls in the water, the drill is increasingly at risk of being damaged. One problem that electric boats of all designs have is ensuring that the electrics and the water stay separate. Water conducts electricity, so if the motor or batteries get soaked, they'll short out.
Good off, nice, steady. Good effort.
It's really good. Surprisingly stable.
Dick and Jem will need to find a better way of waterproofing their electrics than an old plastic bag and cable ties.
Okay.
I would say that, I'd put that down as a partial, if not total success. Okay, partial, slight success. I think it does show that electric power it's got a lot to it.
Quite nippy.
Yeah, definitely. A slightly fractionally more stable craft.
Yeah.
And I would have been away.
Jem may have lost the bet, but he's shown that electric boats could be a winner. But they're going to need a motor that is fully waterproof and on a much bigger scale. Alberto wants to base their water taxi on one of the boats that was made in his boatyard. He's lending them a traditional San Pierotta. At over 7 meters long, it will easily carry 6 passengers, but it's going to need a much bigger engine than an electric drill.
I can't quite get over that this is the boat that Alberto's lending us.
It's gorgeous. Oh, mate, we're going to really have to look after this.
Well, in which case, we should take out everything.
Absolutely. Let's get rid of anything we're not going to use. I'm
Yep.
definitely not going to use this.
Nope, because I wouldn't even know how to.
The San Pierotta was designed to be a fishing boat that could be sailed in the shallow waters of the lagoon. But it's getting a brand new source of propulsion. First, they remove the masts, sails, and rigging. Then they remove the Venetian rowlocks and oars used for gondoliering.
This is the one thing we don't need.
And finally, they take off the 2-stroke engine that causes all the pollution problems. They know they need to use an electric engine, but they're worried that Alberto wants it to have enough power for a whole day's use.
Powering it, okay? It's a long way to Venice. Doesn't matter how you look at it. It's there and back. And if we're not careful, we're going to have a boat full of batteries, and every night he's going to plug in using fossil fuels. We're going to have to use something like solar power, mate.
It would be lovely if it was like a self-contained unit. If it had that canopy of solar panels charging the little battery that smooths it all out, that goes to the motor, that drives it along, and he can then go there and back, collecting energy as he goes.
Their boat needs to be able to cross the open water to Venice and run for a day. To ensure it has enough power, the solar panels will charge 3 batteries which will store the energy. But the problem is that the batteries will lose power much faster than the sun can charge them. So Dick and Jem need to fit as many solar panels as they can on the boat. To ensure that the batteries will be charged as quickly as possible, they're manufacturing a tilting mechanism for the solar panels that will help maximize power output.
Feel how off balance it is. Oh, that's... Can you hold that?
Yeah,
if I
of
pull
course
out the support. Got it?
Alberto has lent them a €20,000 boat, so they better look after it.
All right, looking forward to straightening it up. Ooh, it's quite a tight gap, that one. That is quite tight. Crashing this is just not an option, is it?
Dick, I'm leaving the floor.
They'll need to do all the work without damaging it or ruining its looks.
A bit more.
Yeah, that's cool.
Having moved the boat safely, Dick and Jem are still worried about how they're going to fit the large number of solar panels they need.
So are you thinking we chuck in 2 masts of our own
Yeah.
and then build the canopy between the 2 masts?
We're using really strong parts of the boat because that's, this is what it gets propelled by, so those are strong.
And this is where the big one goes, and that's got to be solid.
What size is the gap? Centre to centre.
Yep.
You know, the beauty about this idea is it's going to be retrofittable in any San Pierotta.
Brilliant.
We start turning them out.
Yeah, we'll get this one finished first.